Before we begin, two messages. Here's a riddle. How do you build native cross-platform mobile applications quickly without having to rewrite code and hire consultants at a huge cost? Titanium from Appcelerator. Called the easy button for mobile application development, it allows you to focus more on what's important, getting product out the door. Join the more than 1.5 million active developers who have created over 13,000 apps at www.appcelerator.com. When my company needed to develop a key mobile product, one that I was counting on as a new source of revenue, I knew exactly who to turn to. Macadamian. They delivered on time with incredible attention to detail, and I was able to get product into customers' hands faster than I ever thought possible. I've personally known them for 10 years, and they do make great products even better. Check them out at www.macadamian.com. Hello everybody, welcome to Untether.tv. My name is Rob Woodbridge, your host, obviously, the one who brings mobile rock stars for these casual conversations many times per week. And I'm joined today from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Canadian again. This is one of the greatest part of doing this is to highlight some of the great Canadian talent and the great Canadian initiatives that we're actually doing because Canada is a mobile hotbed, and specifically Toronto is as well. I'd love to say Ottawa is. We're getting there, but Toronto is a mobile hotbed. And with me today is a co-founder, COO, and president of a company called Plastic Mobile. And this is somebody that Amber MacArthur, who is a local social media whiz and technology expert and media person as well, and author, calls the Queen of Apps. And so I'd like to introduce you to Her Majesty, is that right? Her Majesty Melody Adhami, who is, as I said, from Plastic Mobile. Melody, Your Majesty, welcome to Untether.tv. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story.
Well, if that's not a kind welcome, I really don't know what is.
Well, it's such a great way. I'm so glad that you reminded me about this because it's such a great way to introduce somebody, Her Majesty, especially we're all under the Commonwealth. It fits so well with what's happened over the last number of weeks in the UK. And plus, Amber's very astute, so we'll give it to her as a plug. So, Melody, thank you. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's really exciting to be here. It's exciting to be speaking to you. I know you've been doing work in the mobile space forever now, so before the mobile space even was a space.
That's
so
right.
It's really exciting to be speaking to you, and I'm glad that we're having this chat.
Well, you know, this is we're going to cover quite a lot in this conversation, and you know what I'm hoping to do is get a deeper understanding of what Plastic Mobile is, and you know, building a company around building applications and integrating people into a mobile is a challenge unto itself. But then one of the apps that you've done, the most recent one, has been a standout success for one of Canada's largest brands, fast food and pizza. And you know, a lot of success there. So I want to talk about that. And but first, for people who haven't heard of Plastic Mobile yet, why don't you give us an overview of what you guys do? And we're going to dive into it a little bit deeper.
Sure. We start. So as you mentioned, I am a co-founder at Plastic. It's myself and my partner Seb Sadie. We started it about I'd say 2.5, close to 3 years ago, and we started not before the iPhone was launched, but before the application store was launched. Sort of about the time where some people were doing the black market app development, and Nokia. I remember this really clearly. Nokia had their E62 series, and I remember speaking to Sep when we were first starting, and it would be so great to build applications for Nokia, and then we started doing some black market web apps for the iPhone, and we were really excited about this space. And the truth of the matter is, when we started, Sep was working at an agency prior to starting Plastic, and I was working at Unilever in marketing, and we both really felt that there was a lot happening in the mobile space, and that not a lot of people were paying a lot of attention to it, and that if we were going to ever go somewhere and do something, that this is definitely the time and place for mobile. So We started it, end of 2007 or mid 2007, I would say, and then, immediately had our first client. Our first client was Rogers Digital Media and CBC, actually, both probably around the same time. And then, we've been working on mobile initiatives since then. We really specialize in mobile marketing campaigns, which recently have really been in the form of mobile applications. Our company goes about things a little differently, so we don't just think that, you have to build a mobile application and that's all you do. We really believe that you have to have a strategy and that it has to meet with your business goals and the goals you're trying to achieve. All of it have to align. You have to offer the best user experience to your customers, and you really have to, and then even more important today than it was 2.5 years ago when the App Store probably opened up, is distribution as well. So, if you build it, they won't just come. So we sort of bring an end-to-end solution for anybody looking to enter into the mobile space.
You said something that was really tweaked me there, because you've been doing this long enough so that, I think we all agree that that mobile, not every company believes in mobile yet. I mean, it's like the web in the early days when you were trying to convince somebody that the web was really relevant. The difference today versus then is that nobody understood what the web was. Today, everybody's carrying one of these, and there's an awaiting market, right? But you said something that was really interesting, which is you said about people paying attention. Are companies, do companies get it now, or are they slowly getting it, or more companies getting it, or are you still working on convincing? Because you've worked with Rogers, CBC, media brands, and then Pizza is a fairly large consumer brand. Do people get it today?
That's such a good question, and it's actually a topic of discussion usually when when we meet clients or we meet people in the industry. 2.5 years ago when we started, we were selling the dream.
Right.
We were selling the dream, and it's like, close your eyes and picture the beach story, Look at what could happen and what may happen. And the truth is, we're not doing that today. People are coming to us, and a lot of people understand that this space is here. It's here in a big way, and it's moving really fast. Mm-hmm. I can't say that everybody knows exactly what to do and they know what they should be executing and exactly how they should be taking their business into the space. They just understand that it's really important and that they should be doing something.
Yeah, and I think that's the shift. It happened in the web, and it's obviously happening in mobile very clearly, that people are hearing so much about it that they decide, listen, we don't know where to start, which I think is the biggest challenge. Now the question is, but they know that they actually have to start in this space. So, Plastic is really that kind of guidance company, right? That you're going to help them decide what to do and where to go. But building a company around this 3 years ago would have been a challenge. But now that people are coming to you, what are you finding that they're looking for? Is it that introduction into the mobile space? Are they trying to figure out where they need to go?
I think that so definitely there are some clients that come to us and they really don't know what they should be doing in the space. They're hearing about it, they go to a lot of conferences, they understand it, it's in the news, it's in the media. So it's really, look, we know we have to be here, but please help us. Tell us what we should be doing and guide us. In which case, we really take an approach where we basically take 5 steps back. So, okay, why do you want to be in the mobile space? And what is it you want to do? And how is it supposed to help your business? So tell me your business goals. Tell us what you're trying to achieve in this space. And then let's work at a solution together that's going to, basically reach those goals. And then there are other clients that come to us and they say, well, we entered this space about 2 years ago with a one-size-fits-all solution. There was a platform, we bought onto it, and we have enough users now to really warrant a full, blown-out mobile strategy. So they've tested the waters and they know that they want to go into the space, but they want to go in a bigger way. They want to go and strategize, and they want to do it right. So they come to a company like ours because we customize that experience for them. It's not a one-size-fits-all feed reader. It's not, that's not the type of business we're in. We're in crafting solutions from a business perspective, and then also from a user experience end user perspective.
Yeah, and I think that's you need a kind of a guide in this world because it changes so quickly. I mean, almost overnight, a new technology can come in, or a new platform can come in and disrupt. And is that what you're seeing now?
Absolutely. I mean, up until just, probably last year, it was all about mobile, iPhone, BlackBerry, Android's coming into the space, and now it's tablet, it's like a tablet frenzy. So absolutely, there's new technologies coming every day. We don't know, and we can't say which ones are going to succeed, which ones are going to beat the rest. We can take some educated guesses, and we can hypothesize about things, but we can definitely say that the space is hot, the space is here to stay, and it really is the future.
I mean, there's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. To that point, I would agree with every ounce of my fiber because mobile is just kind of it's bigger than the PC era. It's going to be bigger than the PC era and the internet combined because it takes everything that you have, puts it on something that's so personal and is with you all the time. And the potential is astounding. One last question about plastic.
Sure.
Building this company, what has been the biggest challenge about building this company? Was it the fact that you were ahead of the time, or when you look back and you think, okay, what was the biggest thing that I don't know, the biggest impediment to growth, or the biggest hurdle that you had to get over?
Sure. I think that it's really tough for me to answer that question in one answer because the challenges change daily. But if I could sort of summarize it, I think we had a different challenge at the beginning than we do today. So the days we started, absolutely our biggest challenge was convincing people that this is the way of the future, that this is not just the next fad, that we're not dealing with some technology that's not here to stay. Also, it doesn't help that there wasn't a lot of statistics. Nobody really knew how it was going to play out. Yeah. And any marketer you speak to, the first thing they're going to say is, what's the penetration? And as soon as you say 2%, nobody...
See ya.
You're out of there as fast as you came in. So
no kidding.
That was the biggest challenge we faced then. I think the biggest challenge we've faced now is, moving into office space that lasts us longer than a year. So it's definitely a good challenge to have, but it's from the day we started, we basically moved every single year. We try to think ahead and really try to plan for the future, but I think, like you said, this and on an earlier discussion I had with you, the space is like this. Yeah. So how do you really plan for this?
You don't.
You don't. You just swing with the punches.
That's it. So you end up having leases in 15 different locations over 15 years simply because you've just grown so fast. And I see that happening quite a bit, especially in the mobile space, is that you don't anticipate this kind of growth. You just can't. And you're always kind of leery, right? Because eventually maybe that actually does slow down a little bit, and then you're stuck. Right. And
that's exactly the challenge, right? How do you balance foresight and growth with the realities of what's going to happen? We know that there's people are speculating that till 2015 we're probably going to have massive growth, and then it's going to plateau. But you never know. You never know who's going to come out with the next device. You never know who's going to come out with the next best technology. We believe in the space. We know it's here to stay. But at the same time, as a business, you have to manage. You just have to manage what you do, and you shouldn't. You don't take on more than you chew.
Right. It's so wise. And this 2015 rule, everything's going to culminate in 2015. Billions of dollars in apps revenue. It's going to be 2015, the industry's going to plateau. In 2015, everybody's going to be on Android. It's like, you know what? Bull. Because those same people that say 2015 were the same guys a year ago saying this is the netbook generation, not the tablet generation. Yeah. And the year before they were saying, wireless, what's mobile, right? they don't know as much as you and I don't know what's about to happen, and the impact is going to be something considerable. And somebody's going to come up with something out of left field, and it's going to destroy those predictions. So I look at these guys like Gartner. I love them all, but it's fodder, and they know about as much as you and I do. And in fact, I'd say that you, in the middle of the industry, have a better pulse of what's going on than those guys.
Doing the research, yeah, absolutely. And I put that over 2015 out there because I think you have to have something in mind.
Yep.
But the truth is, everybody is looking in their magic 8-ball.
And then somebody like Apple says, "Oh, by the way, here's a new industry," and then everybody's like, "Oh my God, what do we do?"
We never predicted there'd be an iPad in 2011 or 2010. Wow.
Yeah, or midway through last year. And so, what we're seeing is obviously the disruption of many industries all at once. And to say that it's going to plateau in the next 2 or 3 years, I find that really hard to believe, because we're just starting. So, when you're building, when you talk about mobile, most people talk about apps, but on the grander scale, I'm talking about televisions. I'm talking about media, distributed media. I'm talking about your cars, signs on the street, smart sensors, street lights, everything, right? And to think that it's going to plateau by 2015 means that we have to do an awful lot of innovating and creation in such a short period of time.
And then we have to stop.
Pardon me?
And then we have to stop.
Yeah, it's like the brakes go on. Okay, we're done.
We're done innovating because it has to plateau today.
Well, yeah, because you think about, we're way off here, but even mobile, when you talk about biometrics and human and medicine purposes, I mean, we haven't even started that yet.
No, and you know what? You're bang on, because you look at digital and the web, and I guarantee you there was a Gartner of the world in 2003. The web will plateau.
It's dead. It's dead. Didn't Wired say that? The web is dead, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So I mean, mobile is going to be one of those pervasive things. It's my hope, and maybe it's yours as well, is that I'm never away from this industry, because I believe that this is an industry that I can hook my hook onto, and follow for the rest of my life, because it's going to be innovation after innovation after innovation, and I'd love to ride those waves.
And I'm totally right behind you on that one. I really don't think the digital space, and specifically mobile, is ending. There will be new things that you and I can't even fathom at this point. And when my children are my age, I'll be looking at them like, what is that?
That is exactly. And I hope so. Right?
Absolutely.
So 2015, it's a good number to build towards, but boy, oh boy.
It's a nice round number. Perfect for statistics.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's perfect. And then every year they push it out.
Yeah.
So one of the things that you've done, I mean, huge congratulations, because one of the applications that you recently launched, which was a pizza app, just won a Webby, which is amazing. I mean, for those who don't know, and I'm hoping that you do, that this is not news to you. It's kind of like the Oscars or the Grammys for the web world and for digital media world, and it is an honor. It's not like the Razzies, right? This is the Webbies, where it's actually a good thing to win these. And you won it for the Pizza app. And I'd like to spend some time talking about this, because it's a great case study on how to build a mobile application for a company like Pizza, services company. So first of all, congratulations on that. That must have been great for you guys. Good celebration for the team.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, first off. And it's just been really wonderful, because I don't know if you know, but we won it in the shopping mobile category, which we were up against Guild, Consumer Reports, Target, big, huge American giants, And at first, when we got nominated, we were so excited. And there's actually 2 categories. So there's the Academy voted category, which really is the big prestigious award that you would want to win. And then there's the People's Voice. Yeah. So, we thought to ourselves, well, we can't control the Academy, and we're up against some really big players. So, let's start virally putting ourselves out there, and let's try to, get the People's Voice Award, because that would be wonderful. Well, I think we started with a bit of a disadvantage, like 290 million in population. This
Yeah.
is a slight disadvantage.
But we're a voice. We're an active population, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we didn't win the People's Voice Award, but I think we were really excited and actually space and understand user experience and creative and usability. So for us, it was just such a huge honor to be in that category, and then to win it was just fantastic. And for Pizza Pizza, it's been really wonderful for them. They're they're old, not an old company, but they've been around for a really long time. And for them to be able to, after being so mature, to be able to innovate like this and prove themselves in the digital space has been wonderful.
So do you mind if we just dive into this for a second?
Absolutely.
Because I'm going to come back to the impact on Pizza Pizza, because you're right. This is an older brand, not old. I mean, it's my generation. It's our generation of brand in this. But they're a pizza shop, and it's so interesting that you guys. So they came to you, did they come to you?
They did come to us. So they came to us. They may be a mature company, but they're visionaries, and they do see and understand that there's a future in this space. And we didn't go to them. They came to us and said, we know we need to be in this space. No one else has done it in Canada, and we really want to be here.
Yeah.
And they were really great because they brought their brand, but they left the expertise in terms of the mobile strategy for the application to us. So, of course, internally, they're quite savvy, so they do have a rollout plan and a strategy overall in terms of what they want to do, what they want to roll out within the next few years in mobile. But from the application perspective, they really engaged us and gave us a lot of room to do what we felt needed to be done.
So it's really interesting, because they must have had so Pizza Pizza did a revolutionary job early on in the day for ordering. So they started accepting fax orders, but they centralized that whole process, and they brought it so that it was dispatched and then out. And they also had the 30 minutes or free kind of delivery. So they stepped up pizza delivering across the nation. So they must have had an idea of what they wanted this app to do from the get-go. So, I mean, I guess maybe a little bit easier was it to drive existing customer, or was it to go and find new customers, or what was their strategy going into it?
I think it's really a combination, right? I mean, nobody is, going to close their eyes and say, we're not going to have any cannibalization and everybody is going to be a new customer and we are going to be perfect at this, right? So, they understand their business. They are successful in their web orders. And so they understand you're going to have some cannibalization and you're going to have some new growth. I think they didn't know what the impact of the new growth was going to be to the mobile orders and maybe to their overall business. And I think it's too early to, we know that the success has been fantastic and the uptake has been brilliant. But, hopefully once the releases are out, we'll know what impact it's really had. And for them, it really was, we want to, so they had a couple of goals. So they wanted to gain some new customers. They wanted to convert some of their existing, call center calls to, the application. Although they're really flexible, their biggest goal was really, we want convenience for our customers. So if this is going to be more convenient than a phone call or a web order, then this is what we want for them. That was one of their biggest goals. They also had this was kind of a smaller goal, but, Pizza Pizza is more than pepperoni pizza. They have so many customizable options, and I don't know if you've gone through the application, but if you do,
it's incredible.
You realize that they have like 10 to 15 sauces and 20 to 30 ingredients, and thin crust, thick crust, whole wheat, gluten-free, like you name it, they've got it.
Yeah.
And so one of their goals was, we don't know if people really know how vast our offering is, and it really is vast, and it would really catch the eyes of a lot of people if they just knew. So that was one of our goals with the app as well, to really showcase that and show people.
I mean, it's pretty widespread. So that they come to you and say, listen, we're interested in all of this. So it's obviously finding new customers, which is visibility in the app space, as you know, very difficult to do, right? So drawing attention to a new app, even if it is pizza, very difficult to get on that front screen when you launch iTunes or the App Store on the device. So visibility to new customers. Maybe there's a little bit of a cost reduction when it comes to staffing, call centers, maybe, but probably not.
I think it was more of a convenience factor and allowing your customers to be able to just do it anywhere they really need to.
Yeah, so I mean, extending the brand into mobile for them and extending the ability. I love that. And then even. I think that it's so right, is that part of that brand is not well known. Like if you've been into a pizza, they don't list every single one of their ingredients. If they do, it's very small. So and people tend to think of pizza as you said, like that $6.99 pepperoni pizza. But really, it's so vast. So to extend the brand and a deeper knowledge of the brand, those are big goals. Mm-hmm. So.
Absolutely.
So they come to you with this, and they're very, this is an organization that knows what it wants. So how do you start translating that? First, do you set expectations?
We didn't set expectations.
Good.
Because we expected more of the space ourselves.
Yeah.
So we didn't say, sorry, we can't do all of that. We said, absolutely, we can do all of that. We just have to do it right. Mm-hmm. And we can't do it right without your help. So right off the bat, we told them that this partnership was going to be crucial. Ordering pizza isn't simple, and Pizza is a large brand. We're not talking about 2 or 3 stores. We're talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stores across Canada. And Quebec offers poutine, but the rest of Canada doesn't. Waterloo has a special, but the Kitchener doesn't. So it's really down to neighborhood and down to store levels. So there was a lot of work that had to be done with them. But when we first started, I think the first step that we had to take was, understanding their goals. So they came with the goals. And then taking a step back and discussing with their business, realistically, what can we achieve in this space and who our targets are. So analyzing and strategizing. So that was our first step. And we did that, through meetings with all of their stakeholders and going through an entire discovery process. And stakeholders, users, the whole discovery.
So when you, but I mean, how like it's so big. Like the question is, how do you there's got to be a first step that you had to have taken. So even on the strategy discussions, it's okay. So how do you? It's very difficult to guarantee that anybody's going to get the visibility that Pizza did. I mean, the fact that you won a Webby, to me is a like Pizza just looked at that and said, I mean, national brand exposure, international brand exposure, just like that, right?
Absolutely.
You set the bar so high for anybody else that does any work with Pizza. They're like, well, you know what? Plastic won us a Webby. What are you going to do for us, right? So that stuff happens as a direct result of an incredible product. So it has to start at that level, doesn't it? Down to the, as you said, down to the neighborhood or the community.
And the truth is that if you're going to put out a product and if you want it to be are you still there?
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
I'm here.
If you want it to be recognized like that, you really have to make the product great, So people know the iPhone, people understand it's a great product, but, a lot of work went into that. And it didn't, they didn't say we're going to make a phone and then, 6 months later they had a phone. There was months and months of strategy put behind that and usability. So For us, our biggest goal wasn't to, grow brand awareness, gain blah, blah, blah. Those weren't our goals. Our goal was a product that is usable, easy, and that consumers are going to love to want to use over and over again.
Right.
So we took this big concept and we just drilled it down to what does it really mean to want brand exposure? What does it really mean to want to showcase your products? What does it really mean? Ultimately, it comes down to a good user experience and letting users enjoy their ordering process.
And so obviously they are enjoying it simply because every time you log on to the App Store, you see that it's one of the #1 downloaded applications available in Canada, and it is so complex. It does everything that you'd want it to do. What has the feedback been from a customer standpoint on this?
Feedback has actually been phenomenal. So, I mean, specifically the reviews, it's been absolutely fantastic. Users love it. People are ordering pizza when they weren't, I'm now ordering pizza 4 times a week. I never did, and if there was one comment that I want to touch on, and the reason I want to touch on it is because there was that goal that they really wanted to show people that they had a vast offering, and I can't remember when it was, but it might have been the 4th or 5th day it was launched, and when I read it, I was ecstatic. That was the moment in your career where you're like, okay, we did exactly what we were asked, and exactly what was expected was the outcome and result. You don't get to say that every day.
No.
It was a user, and I think it was, I love using this application, and I can't even believe Pizza Pizza has so many ingredients. It's such a small thing, but it goes so far for me because I sat in that first meeting, and that was exactly what they said. We want to show that Pizza Pizza has a lot to offer. And that tiny little review just made it, just sort of made my day and made, all the hard work and the 5-6 months of, getting it right down to the last detail, totally worth it.
Well, it might seem so insignificant, but
Yeah.
when you can hold it up to the folks at Pizza Pizza and say, we did exactly what you had asked us to do.
And it's not about just holding it up for them, but even it personally, as you did it, and you did what you said you were going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what it was. It was 100% one of those career moments where you're like, this is so small. It wasn't the Webby Award. It was just that one comment, and it was like,
we did it.
We did it. We got them to say that too.
Well, so you said that you said that it's kind of take 5 or 6 months. I mean, what was the process like for building this? Did it take that long to get it done? Because a lot of people have this misconception that mobile is like done, 60 days, 30 days. We got a new business and we got a new app and we're rolling. So, how long did this take?
It really does. If you're going to do it and you're going to do it right,
yeah.
It's going to take time. I think there's, the magic 6 to 8 weeks in the market, and, kudos to anybody who can do it in 6 to 8 weeks, and kudos to anybody who can do it in 6 to 8 weeks, get exactly what they wanted out of the product and win a Webby. So
exactly
that I bow down to them. But for us, it was as much a discovery, definition, process as it was a development effort. We had some really big goals to fill, and that meant that we really had to understand their business. We really had to understand, what are people who are ordering pizza, people who are consuming pizza, who are they, what are they doing, where are they doing it from, how do they want their experience to be, and really deliver on that.
It almost sounds like there's a technical challenge in building an application, right? There is. I mean, you've got to build it. You got to make sure that it's usable. Usability plays a very key role because there are so many ingredients. How do you display that in a way? I want a quarter pizza with olives, right? And the other quarter pizza, it's complicated. You talk about many different options. You take all those ingredients and multiply by quarters of pizzas and crust, and it's exponential. So there is a technical challenge, but I mean, if you looked at a pizza pie, and you said that whole pizza pie is the whole process. Terrible analogy here.
Mm-hmm.
Is the whole project. Did strategy take half, 2/3? I mean, like when you went to develop, you knew what you were developing.
Absolutely, absolutely. The guesswork was not in development.
Yeah.
A typical process. We start the discovery and the definition. We move into the definition. Really involves wireframing it, prototyping it, making sure it's usable. Then we go through a design exercise, and at all these points, we are. It's iterative design process. So we are testing with users. We are understanding. Like my first user was my mom. My
Perfect.
first user was my mom. And we took back a lot. We took back a lot.
I don't eat pizza is the first thing, right?
Well, she had an iPhone. She doesn't really know how to use it very much. She understands applications. So, we had a perfect, use case.
Yeah.
So, and when she used it the very first time, there were things that she didn't know how to do. So if there were things that she didn't know how to do, there were things that other people wouldn't. So from where it was the first prototype that was tested to where it is today, there was a lot of work that went in at that stage as well. So yeah, I'd say about your pizza pie question, I'd say about 1/3 strategy.
Yes.
1/3 usability design.
Yeah.
A little bit less. A little bit less, and then a little bit more than 1/3 for development and quality assurance.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what gets lost in a lot of this is that some people build. It depends. Maybe if it's your own product and it's your own company and you're trying to build, a service or something. Like they get the fastest product out. Basically, what they call quite literally make it work, get it out there, and then we're going to iterate and update. So, some people call this allowing their customers to do their beta testing for it. But with a brand like Pizza, you don't do that, right? It's got to be right, and it's got to be perfect the day that it launches. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. I would just modify your sentence slightly.
Okay.
And I wouldn't say with a brand like Pizza. I would say in the space like the mobile application space.
Yeah, much broader. Yeah.
And the reason I would say that is that there's only one-way communication in the App Store. It's one-way communication and you can't respond.
Yeah.
So you put out an application that's subpar, you'll hear it.
Yeah.
And you can't explain yourself.
Yeah. You're right.
You can't say, oh, we're just testing, please be patient, or this is beta, give us some time, we're working on it. There's no sugarcoating. There are 2 stars or 1 star, and and you're looking at review after review after review that is killing you and your brand. Yes. So, if you don't get it right, and we tell people, we're like, you have 1 chance with your customer, try your best to get it right.
Well, I mean, you brought such a great point. I mean, if I release the Untether app, so it's Untether and it's not very good, the Untether brand gets tarnished. Well, I'm not a Fortune 100 company yet, but when you release on behalf of somebody,
that's right.
Right? So all of that work that you put into it, the culmination of that is getting this out there and then kind of doing, oh man, boy, do I ever hope. Because that first 1-star rating is not just reflective of the app, but when you see somebody hammering that app and it's a pizza name or a Sears name or any kind of brand, that is having a dent in the perception of that brand.
That's right. And you can't take reviews personally because there are some people that just love to hate. Yeah. And they're, and as
that's
long
right,
as
I hate pizza. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay, but that has nothing to do with the app, right?
Absolutely. And there are so many, and even worse, I wish they hated pizza. That would be like, that would be a good comment to put. But you get people like saying, this is a terrible game. All right, this is a terrible game.
They charged my credit card and I got a pizza delivered. It's terrible.
Like, if only they were saying they hated the brand, then we'd say, okay, great, fine, you have a right to your opinion. Although Pizza has great pizza, you should try out some other varieties. But it's more about, there will be people who do that. But the challenge and the goal is, try to get the majority of them 5-star. Try to get the meaningful ones 5-star.
Yeah.
So, you set goals like that.
And you can only control people's opinions as much as you can control people's opinions. And what I do like about the fact that about at least app stores, that you have to be a person that has downloaded the application and a real person with an account to be able to provide that. So you do kind of get rid of the riffraff comments, and and there's always going to be people that complain. You know that for sure. Like, that pizza was too expensive, right? Well,
absolutely. Well, that's the price. Sorry.
I can't manipulate that. But so the brand is this is where the brand starts to think, okay, we're typically in control of the branding, of the way that people opine about our product or like or dislike it. Was there any concern about that inside of Pizza when they launched it? Were they thinking that this could have positive, negative impact on our brand?
I think that everybody was hopeful that it was going to be a positive impact. We had all seen the product. We had, showed it around to our friends and family. We didn't think that it was, going to be. We didn't think that there would be negative repercussions. But whenever you put anything that's digital into the market, especially when it links to point of sale systems and something has to happen, there's a level of apprehension that goes into it. I mean, you can have a perfect system in place, and the system at Pizza is quite robust, but things could go wrong.
Yeah.
And that we're all human, and something could go wrong, and forget something could go wrong. You could have a huge spike of unanticipated traffic, and everything is down. So there was a little bit of an uneasy feeling going live, as there always is. Sure. But we were pretty confident. We had put, both from our perspective and from the Pizza perspective, that we had put in the right foundation to have a successful launch. And luckily, we didn't have glitches. We had a few things we had to change in our second version, but not much. It was a pretty good launch.
So, I mean, you brought up a great point, which is, it's one thing to put out an app, like, hey, here's an app. It streams some video, it tracks your task list, or it's a calendar app, or, it ties into Salesforce. But what you're really talking about is that yours is, the Pizza app is a conduit to a processing system. So it has to fit. Like, they're not going to retrofit their stores to accommodate the app. The app has to accommodate the technology that's already running all of their stores. Centralized, distributed, whatever it is. And, I'm not even going to get into the localized sales and couponing and all that kind of stuff, because it adds a level of complexity. But what was that experience like, being able to tie into that? Was it relatively easy?
I can't say it's relatively easy, because you're moving into an environment that already exists.
Yes.
Relatively easy would be, I get to build the perfect environment that I want with the latest technology, right?
Just change everything. Yeah.
Just rehaul the entire backend system, no problem, right? So that would be relatively easy.
Yes.
So definitely there are challenges with that, and you're working with systems that were put into place over time, and you're working with different pieces that were added and different ways that they operate. So, and you're dealing with very, very complex systems. So people don't think that ordering pizza is complex, or that it's a big deal. You call and then you order a pizza, but what you don't see in the background is that there are hundreds and hundreds of monitors, making sure traffic spikes are proper so that your call is being answered immediately, that you get the best level of service, So we're tapping into all of that stuff that's put into place to make the user experience great from Pizza's perspective. So we have an obligation from our end to do, to sort of match that and mirror that experience.
Yeah. Well, I can't imagine that. I mean, that's where the apprehension would be, which is, it's one thing to build a great app. It's the next thing to make sure that app actually produces exactly what it's supposed to. The delivery is the appropriate one.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, I think that's the gap. And there are a lot of people that are building these things, but but I think that it takes a special blend to be able to take that technology, the usability on the front end, and make it seamless into an existing system.
Absolutely. And I think that was that was a major requirement at the beginning. So it wasn't a business goal, but a huge requirement that the same level of service that we're offering today, we need to carry that on to the application, if not better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you look at the app, Melody, and you think about the amount of effort that goes, I mean, you're very close to it, obviously. You've been working on this for quite some time, and I'm sure if you just panned your camera a little bit, you'll see stacks of pizza boxes as trials, right? What was the expense budget just on testing the delivery time? Okay, we'll go. We'll order one. But when you look at the application, what? I mean, it's innovative in the way that it's laid out. The UI is beautiful. The complexity is there. But what's something that you guys are most proud of? That you say, you know what, God, this is something that really. We couldn't have done this on any other platform. This is something that we're really proud of.
So I have a good story for this, actually. I'm glad you asked because I wanted to bring it up. Bonus. No. So I don't know if you order pizza online. I know there are a lot of people who do, and it doesn't matter if you're ordering Pizza, Domino's Pizza, Pizza Hut. There's a typical process in pizza ordering that is generally followed. So you enter, first thing it asks is your location, give me your address, give me your phone number, sign up now, almost down to giving your credit card information.
Yep.
Before you get to even see a pizza, look at a pizza, or, remind yourself that you're hungry. So one of the biggest things that we felt very, very strong about, and not to Pizza, but generally for the web ordering process or digital ordering process, is that we think it's really important to show people the food, get them to put the food in their cart, and then you can ask them the questions. Yeah. So for us, I use this analogy. You can't have a store, a retail shoe shop, and expect people to give their credit card up front without entering the store. You don't keep your kiosks at the door and say, excuse me, you cannot enter and see the shoes until I see your credit card.
Yeah, swipe here, please. Yeah.
Yeah. So for us, it was like, that was the analogy. And it's not because, Pizza thought that, no, we need all that information before we, do the rest. It was just that nobody in the rehaul process ever thought, in all of pizza ordering, and this is not, a fault of Pizzas or anybody, is that nobody ever came and said, let's do it this way, and let's have them see the food before they have to enter all this information.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm simplifying it. There are a lot of technical challenges, and a lot went into changing that, because that's a system that has existed for 50 years.
Yeah.
You call the call center, and somebody asks you, can I get your phone number? What's your address? What's your nearest store? It's typically been done that way, and that's just the way it's always been done. But for us, it was really important to, throw that on its head and say, let's do it differently. Let's show them the food. And then, once they're ready to go, then we'll ask them all the information that we need from, a technical perspective or from an ordering perspective to get them the food to where they want it to go.
Was that a challenge to change that up, or was Pizza really ready to embrace that?
Oh, well, Pizza was great because they completely stood behind it, and they really wanted to move in that direction. Like, yeah. It was almost like they were waiting for someone to tell them, we should change this now. They obviously knew, this isn't something new that we came and just proclaimed. They knew it themselves. It was just a matter of, having the budgets and the right initiative to change that from a technical perspective.
It's funny because I think it's a broader theme in mobile, and you just hit on it, which was, how do you think that mobile is going to influence the way that we interact with business? Because quite frankly, in mobile, it has to be a little bit simpler. It has to be easier. I mean, you're talking about, interacting with a touchscreen. You're talking about limited space, even on a tablet. So this is a perfect example of maybe mobile. They may have thought it was a good idea, but they were waiting for a right way to do this. But mobile influencing the way that business is done. I mean, we see it in couponing and all that kind of stuff, but this is a really subtle change, but it's a customer service centric change, isn't it?
I think it's subtle. You're right. It's so small in the grand scheme of things, but I think it has huge implications in the way that business is done. And I'm not just saying this one example, I'm saying overall business. And I'm not just talking about pizza. I'm talking about the way people and businesses operate.
Absolutely.
It's just not the same world as it was before. And I think web did it once, and I think mobile is here to do it again.
Yeah.
Mobile has a smaller barrier, because people saw it happen once in the digital world, and I think like publishing, they missed the boat a little bit in the web era, and I think they are all over mobile because it's a time to redeem themselves.
This, the mobile industry is a step industry, a step technology. I mean, it's advancing so quickly, and the losers of lore. Yesteryear can be the winners going forward if they embrace this.
Absolutely.
And that's why I look at companies like Pizza, and I think that what they're doing here is they're making a play, and the way that they embraced web was one thing, but the way that they embraced mobile is another thing. And it's interesting to think about what they could do going forward with something like their Pizza app. When you start to add, it asks me where I am, but you start to add proximity and geofencing and all of the technologies that are evolving into these applications, and all of a sudden you've got something that is a great way to find new clients or generate interest. And
absolutely. And I mean, we're obviously we have a really great relationship with them, and we are going to roll out a lot of great things. But with mobile, there really are. It's limitless. The boundaries are, it's what you make of the space. So, NFC is coming. So your phone can be a wallet, It's going to impact the way not only they do business, but that people do business, retailers do business.
Well, I love it. Like, I mean, I'm sure, Melody, we could sit here and speculate about where things are going, but you think about, pizza fuels students, right? I mean, and you think about parents feeding that fuel. And then you could combine that with prepaid cards, like at Best Buy, or gift cards that you buy. And this would be the simplest way. Hey, listen, download the app. Your parents are going to fill up your, prepay for as many pizzas as you need. And you're just going to, that's a great revenue boon. And the kids are just going to be able to order on account, so to speak, right?
It's funny that you mentioned, because actually Pizza has meal cards, and they're actually tied into a lot of university student meal plans. So, and through the application, one of the things that Pizza really wanted was that we link into those meal plans, and we allow the students to tie in their meal plans in the application to be able to order, whatever is easiest for the customer, and that's a huge part of their demographic are the students in the universities. So, just tapping into that market and allowing it to be convenient for them is really one of their biggest goals.
They could make a career out of this application, I think. And you guys could as well, obviously, because I describe the mobile industry as, we're trying to build foundations on molten lava, right? As things we're trying to build something, and nothing's settled yet, because we don't know what platform is going to win. We don't know what language is going to win. We don't know how this is going to play out, but we're still trying to build and build and build. And we're such early days. So for plastic, what's next for you guys? This is obviously a huge brand and a huge win. Webby, the success, the downloads, all those things that are happening from it. I mean, do you guys look forward and say, okay, well, where should we be going in this industry, or is it just that you're so consumed with what you're doing today?
Well, I hope that we're not just so consumed with what we're doing today that we can't plan for the future.
Well, it's only till 2015 anyway, so it's not
That's
that
right, and then
far.
it all ends.
Yeah.
I'm retiring
If
at
we
50.
get past 2012, then it's only 2015 and mobile will be dead anyways.
So you and I are retiring. Where are you going? I'm going to the Bahamas.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, so I think we look ahead. We see ourselves and we position ourselves to really work in the mobile commerce space.
Yeah.
We think that we've proven that we know what it takes. We think that, sorry, I have something running in the background.
It's okay.
I think that we've done a lot of learnings through this application and through what we've been doing for the past 3 years to really be able to work in the commerce space, and we see it as a huge trend. We see it as an area of opportunity, not for us but for retailers as well. And the way e-commerce really came and changed the game, we think that m-commerce is going in the same direction, and it's actually going to probably do a better job than e-commerce did.
Yeah.
I'm a personal case, so I'll just tell you, I didn't do a lot of online shopping. Just not my thing. I like to shop in stores. And I downloaded a really handy application on my iPhone. I don't know, you might be familiar with it. It's Outlook. It's a competitor to Guilt. And I can't tell you it's dangerous for my wallet. It is, because there's something about boredom and applications on the phone.
Yeah.
And something about shopping in your spare time when you're not working in front of a computer that gets really dangerous on the mobile device.
It doesn't seem like it is dangerous, but free time in an app and you can cause a lot of damage.
Credit card?
Yeah, and a credit card, exactly. Well,
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, e-commerce required you to be sitting at a computer, right, at a terminal, and m-commerce so tactile because you can be out there. It's also one of the most scary things if you're a retailer because, in Canada we have Chapters Indigo and a lot of big brands that are like in the States, like Barnes and Noble, that people are walking. There's a big effort being put into advertising and marketing the product, which is the store, the brand, and then them walking. Consumers walking into the store, scanning the product and buying on Amazon. Right? That frightens me because if I'm a consumer. So what you're talking about, that shopping experience is how do you convince the consumer to buy while they're in the store, and not make them go out and find something cheaper around the corner or online or on Kijiji or something like that. That's the big challenge in retail, I think, these days.
I think you're right, but I also think there's a huge opportunity that some people are taking advantage of, and some people are missing. Mm-hmm. So yes, it's a challenge. How do you get people? How do you get someone to walk into this really fancy Indigo store? And then there's guilt, and they don't need anyone to walk into a fancy Indigo store at all. And they can offer their stuff at 50% discounted and still, be purchased for I don't know how much, but it was in the hundreds of millions. I think I read that they got. I think was it Nordstrom or someone purchased them, and a very, very, very good case study for being able to do well in the digital commerce space, whether it's in the form of e-commerce or m-commerce. So I say to those retailers out there, if you're scared, seize the opportunity.
Embrace it, boy.
Embrace it and get into it. Get into the space because you don't want to be publishing, and you don't want to be classified and miss the boat, to Craigslist.
And I think that's a great way to end this. Is that a lot of companies who are concerned about this. I often talk, do presentations in front of people, and they say, well, what if we don't want to engage with our customers, or we don't want to talk to them? We don't want them to think badly of our brand, and which is the biggest concern that people have. And my answer to that is, they're already talking about you. They're already in your stores. Now the question is, you're either listening or you're not. And in mobile, it's you're either participating or you're not. Your customers are participating, and they expect you to be there. So don't hesitate. you don't have to jump in, you know, millions of dollars full board, but you have to participate. And, you know, I think that people are starting to realize that, but maybe not enough. And hopefully, you know, when they see what happens with Pizza and what you've done, increase brand awareness. I mean, you've done everything that you set out to do. You've showcased the product exceptionally well. You've created an application that has rave reviews and is being downloaded all over the place. And I'll be interested in 6 or 9 or 12 months to see what the impact is on sales, store-by-store sales, or cost reduction, or error reduction, or, you know, product quality or QA. But whatever happens, the brand is where their consumers are, and that's a big lesson. So kudos to what you guys have done.
Thanks so much. You know, I agree with you. I think that, you know, people need to start listening and more importantly, understand where your users are. You know, if you don't feel your users are in the space, you don't have to enter it. But, you know, if you're listening and your users are there, then we highly recommend, you know, getting yourself in the space, doing it right, and making sure that the experience is something that your users expect from your brand.
Wow, this has been great. I know, you know, Melody, there's a reason why Amber called you the Queen of the Apps. I think it's much more than that. You know, if they ever have a Webby for Queen of Mobile, maybe perhaps that's the next, and that's where you go, I think, as you graduate. I don't know if you, you know, if you've sent Amber a thank you note, but, you know, it's pervasive now.
Absolutely. You know, I tweeted it publicly. You know, I've met with her a few times, so of course I thank her. And I don't know if I told you the story, but you know, the morning of that the article came out, my staff saw that you know, I was labeled the Queen of Apps, and this is the outcome.
It's perfect.
So.
And
so it's a good time. Now it just hangs out on my desk, but
you don't wear that into meetings?
Yeah, well, you know, they were really sweet about it. They went out and they got that before I even got to the office. So
perfect.
It was really fun. Yeah, I thought I'd share that.
The Queen of the Apps wears her crown. I love it. Well, you know what? If it's ever, you know, you ever want to make your point, you just pull out that crown and say, "Listen, I am the Queen of the Apps. You listen to me."
And you know, I have used it against them. You know,
so good.
You know, they bought this, but when they say something I don't like, I'm the queen. You gotta listen to me. So.
I love it. What a great staff. I mean, and I'm glad that you're embracing the title and.
We're having fun with it, you know. Of course, you know, it's something I get to my head, but you know, we have fun with it. We make a joke about it. We play with it.
Well, it's funny because, you know, Amber does this show, you know, what was Net at Night is now the Social Hour, but she works with a guy named Leo Laporte, obviously, who runs Twit, and they've called him the president of the internet. So she works with the president of the internet, and she's interviewed the queen of the apps. And
it's so funny.
So good. So people can find you guys at plasticmobile.com.
Absolutely.
And if you go to App Store and download the Pizza application, just type in Pizza in the search. It's only iOS, right, so far?
So far, we are on iOS. It's optimized for the iPhone. However, of course, you can use it on your iPad. And the experience, you know, it's not a bad experience. It's still a fair experience. And hopefully, you know, our plans are to continue with the success and keep rolling it out.
Okay. Well, listen, Melody, I really appreciate your time on this. I'm so glad we could connect. You know, I really enjoyed this conversation. Love the enthusiasm about the mobile industry. I love what you guys are doing, and the fact that you can take you know, a perceived low-tech business like Pizza, and perceived, I say, because there's a huge back end, but and create a successful product in the mobile space just proves to me that whether you are a dry cleaner, a ditch digger, or a plumber, mobile is something that you have to look into.
Absolutely. I think you make a wonderful point because, you know, they're not just selling pizzas. You know, they are catering to their customers.
Yeah, and that's the key. That's what mobile does so well.
Yeah, I agree. You know, we're on the same page.
This is a mobile love fest. We'll continue.
Thank you so much for having me, and thanks for your time. It's definitely been a great discussion for me as well.
Well, I appreciate it. I have been speaking with Melody Adhami, who is the co-founder, the COO, and president of a company called Plastic Mobile. As I said, plasticmobile.com. And for those of you who are watching this, I know you've gained some great insight from this. Thank you so much for sticking around and listening and watching. And as always, if you have any comments, suggestions, feedback, anything at all, or even questions for Melody, reach out to untether@gmail.com. I will answer everything that comes my way. Thank you, Melody. Thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. We'll see you next time.
Thanks so much, Rob.